Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I just want to talk about the decade, okay? I'm working on your nebulas, and I never got the chance to tell you about the decade a little bit behind the scenes and compare it with its inspiration. The decade, most of you know by now, and if you don't, I apologize. There was a small window that we talked about the decade for maybe a week or so before it was released. This was a pre-order on our 10-year anniversary. It was a mystery yo-yo. I gave rough estimates on the specs and gave some hints about what it was going to be, but I didn't actually show the yo-yo. So those of you that got this, it was a one-time pre-order. This is the AL6. It's a 6061 version. It's the decade, and it was a one-time pre-order for anybody that wanted to hop in and get one without knowing what it was, knowing it was a 10-year anniversary special release. Now let's talk about it. You've gotten them. I'm working on the decades. The nebulas. These were they take longer at the anodizer. 10 years ago, when we put up this pre-order, 10 years prior to that, we had the Albatross, and that was our original yo-yo, and we got lucky. It was a big hit, and that really helped G2 start off on the right path. A lot of people will give you the opportunity when you start, but you really have to grab a hold of that and build momentum based on that. So it helped that we had a really good first release. The yo-yo is really good. It's still a yo-yo that people are looking for. It's been since retired, but the Albatross was our first yo-yo over 10 years ago now, but 10 years ago when this pre-order happened. And when I talked about the decade for the pre-sale, it was something that represented our 10 years, and you can tell highly inspired by the Albatross. Not quite a mini Albatross, and I want to talk about why. While it shares a lot of the same shapes, it was designed to represent the Albatross. It took a lot of what I've learned in designing yo-yos, and I took that and improved it into this. Instead of trying to make a mini version that would play similar to how the Albatross does, it's kind of just kept the shape and design as far as making it look like it. So you've got the hub that looks similar. You've got definitely the catch profile similar. We kept the bump by the response, and then even the area around where the axle bump is, we kept it similar to match what the aesthetics were on the Albatross. It's a little throwback to the old G2 stability ring, where we used to add some mid-weight directly into a little bump instead of making it even throughout a range. But the specs on the decade, it's 52.4 by 40.85 and 61.8 grams. It is a Boss Rage bearing, 10 millimeter axle in our new G19 pads. So you've got the updated guts. When prior we used to have flowable silicone that no pads fit, now you can swap them whenever you want, and you need a fresh response. It makes everything a little better overall, I will say. But then what we did in the design wise, the walls are thinner. In the last 10 years, machining has gotten better, so we can go a little bit thinner on the walls and just understanding where to put that weight. So you could have had some issues 10 years ago with something as under 62 grams, especially at the smaller diameter, having enough spin time. But we were able to push the limits a little bit smaller on the wall thickness, so it's got a little more rim weight, and that allowed us to go overall smaller weight. It keeps the bump like we talked about on where the axle taps into, but we did decrease that a little bit, just because you don't want all of that center weight in a modern yo-yo. So we wanted to be true to the aesthetics, but we also wanted to move that weight out so it's not as deep as the Albatross was, just to save some of that weight. Hopefully you guys enjoy the decade as much as I do. I love it. It is a fantastic yo-yo. I knew it was going to be a hit as soon as I had tried that original raw. You know, it was the perfect item, I believe, for that 10-year anniversary, and making it a pre-order made it fun. Do I think everybody that's a G2 fan should probably try a Decade? Yes. At some point, you're going to want to try a Decade. If it wasn't that pre-order situation, I do believe that there is a very solid case that the Decade would have a mainstay in our lineup right now. We don't have anything in that size range, and just as great as the Decade plays, it would definitely be an item that was releasing, once a month, kind of the way we do our main lineup. We drop them in there once or twice every couple months, and the Decade would definitely serve well in that lineup. That's all I've got for you. This Nebula Decade's beautiful. A lot of the other colorways as well. I know I love the Berry Fade personally. I know a lot of people love the Rainbow Galaxy, but now we're just eating up some of your precious day. Hopefully you have a great day. That is the information on the Decade when you're looking for it, scouring the interwebs. There it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place.